Good morning and welcome to Taika Translations, guys. This is going to be an awesome week. As we start this week, I am reminded about our core value of proactive and where it comes from and how we got to that core value and how it started to come to be something that was so intrinsic to us as a culture in our organization that we actually named it one of our top three core values: proactive living out the book and never giving up. But proactive being a huge part of who we are and what we believe is necessary to succeed over time. And I guess in order to do that, I want to take you back to when we first started Taika Translations. And of course, we started Taika Translations when I got married, but I mean that period where I just concluded my work with the HVAC company my dad owns, and my brother still run it to this day, but down in South Texas. And we transitioned now into Taika Translations, and that very first those very first steps that we took from going from, okay, now I work with a company into like, okay, now I am the owner of the company and we're going to take steps to build a company. And that back in September of that year, I remember like we were just normal people, Maggie and I, and we are still just normal people, by the way. Nothing has changed in that regard, but we've learned a lot. So the people we were then, between who we were then and who we are now, we've learned a lot. And proactivity has been a part of that process. But my point is, what did we do at the very beginning? And Maggie and I sat down at the very beginning and we said, we had a lot of conversations around what we want to do next. I employed the idea of possibly becoming a surveyor, because I love doing things outdoors and going and measuring land and being out in nature and just being doing something in that field. And I experienced just a lot of different things. But what we came back to was, God's given us this translation company, very minuscule seed of a company. And if we take that basically those few fishes and loaves of bread that God's given us, you guys know the story of the 5,000, the few fishes and the few loaves of bread, and then Jesus, he separates them and feeds 5,000 people, right? You know that story. So he said, well, why don't we take this little basket that we have, this tiny little, almost insignificant income that we had, because it was insignificant that year, actually. It had grown to be a little bit more significant, but I mean, it still only made like a little bit less than 20,000, I think, that year in 2014. Or the end of, I think that was, anyways, I have to look at the numbers, but it was something like that. And we said, okay, we'll take this little thing, we'll pour everything that we are into it, ask God to bless it, and let's see if we can make something out of this. And so Maggie and I, us two, started working. And very, very quickly, we realized that we were going to need a help across the pond, meaning on the other side of the world, that would be up and awake during the European time zone. And that's where Mike came in. And that was like a month after we started. We're like, man, we've got to have somebody to at least open the email and check if or receive something or just say yes or something. Because we worked the entire daytime during the U.S. to try to get our company set up, and then at night we continued. Early in the morning, not at night. But early in the morning we had like 4 o'clock, 3 a.m., 2 a.m. Sometimes I wonder, Jake, he's always up at all hours of the day. I don't know how he does that, but anyways, it was super early for us, and so then we worked from that time all the way till like midnight. And it was just really taxing on us, and we understood that we couldn't do it, so we had to have help. So we reached out to Mike, Maggie's brother, and said, hey, can you help us? Can you do this? And reluctantly at first, but he actually came in and started helping. And it was an incredible blessing, because that actually gave us the opportunity to take one step. And why that's important is we didn't have all the answers. We weren't professional, amazing project processors and marketers and anything, but we were proactive. We were willing to do the next best thing that we could do, next most advantageous thing that we understood how to do, and maybe we didn't fully understand, but we knew enough to do the action and hope for a productive result. And it was about the next most important proactive thing that we could do to grow our company and lift ourselves out of this place where we were, so that we could actually produce a growing income, and one that we eventually could live off of, and then we could bring other people in and help, and they could live off it as well, and then we could actually create a cool company with a culture and all this stuff like we have today. But at the very beginning, it was simply taking, whether it was taking the list of clients that Maggie'd worked with for years and just starting to write them emails. I just started to write them emails and communicate with them. Just build the relationship. That's all I was doing at first. Just simply writing them, talking to them like humans. And they responded. And when you build relationships and enhance relationships, it's profitable for everyone across the board. And it's one small proactive thing that you can do and I can do to make our lives a little better. And so we did that at the very beginning. And we realized we needed an accounting program. And there's so many things that we had that we switched 3 or 4 different accounting programs and finally got to Zoho and email platforms and started to build the website. It was like the next thing. And we weren't professionals at any of it, except Maggie was a professional translator at that time, but that was it. But everything else, we weren't professionals at. We were kind of good at a few things like financial management. We knew we wanted to stay out of debt, and we knew we had to develop a team and wanted to treat people well and treat them with the golden rule, but weren't professionals at any of this. But we just did the next wisest proactive thing that we could do to move the needle in the right direction. And over time, as we did thousands and thousands and thousands of repetitions of the right small next step, we started to create this organization, and it started to grow. And it eventually grew into what you and I enjoy today, working in this company that provides for many people now. And so proactive people work here. You and I are proactive people at the very core of our existence. We have to proactively take that next right step. We don't have to know and understand how to perfectly administrate it, perfectly do that. But we do have to be proactive and take the next step, because that's the spirit that's brought us from here to here. And if we want to go up there, then we're going to have to maintain that spirit of productivity, even if we don't fully understand the whole idea about how to do something, or just we're not the most professionals. Because I mean, at first Maggie and I had to do everything, and we weren't professionals at all of it, just at a few important key spheres. And it took us time to be able to build and then bring other people into our work that would enable us to then actually build a company that is profitable and fruitful and giving and opportunities for us to actually build this culture that we have today. So guys, proactivity was there at the beginning of our organization. It's currently a core value, and it's one of the foundational elements that is going to continue to carry us into the future. And I just want to remind you, each of you, about that today. Encourage you, that's who we are as a team. And whenever we have a decision to make, when there's challenges that we face, we will measure it against us being living out the book, being proactive, and never giving up. We're going to measure it against those 3 things and say, okay, what is the thing that we have to do to make this core value a reality in this situation? And so that's what we do each and every day. That's how we're going to move from here to here. And so I invite you into each of you into that work this week. Let's go forward and prosper this week. Do things that are proactive, that cause us to win and maintain faith, that in the end we will prevail and God will take us to that next level that we're working towards. So I look forward to working with each and every one of you this week, and looking forward to what we can do as we maintain a spirit of proactivity.